In the Tru-Color Paint product line, we offer the largest commercially available sheets of masking paper for the hobbyist at 8 inches by 10 inches. These are available in 3 packs TCP 900 and 10 packs TCP 910. In this introduction, we will discuss the purpose of masking, the timing at which masking may be applied, the types of patterns in use, and a demonstration of a basic masking of a couple of models or assemblies that we will designate as a basic type masking for the beginner, hobbyist, or painter. In future chapters, we will discuss applications of our masking paper for the intermediate and advanced modeler. What is the purpose of masking a model or subject you want to build and paint in 2 or more colors? We will divide them into the following categories to get started. Military applications of 2 or more colors is usually for camouflage purposes. It makes the ship, armor, aircraft, or personnel more difficult to be seen by the enemy. This is particularly true in World War I and II. In railroading, 2 or more colors were used on freight and passenger cars or locomotives for identification of a particular railroad, to stand out in a freight consist, or to commemorate some event, such as the U.S. Bicentennial in 1976. Automobiles that had 2 or more colors were usually done for aesthetics and to entice a consumer to purchase a particular model. Buildings have multiple colors to make them more attractive in a residential, commercial, or industrial setting. This makes it more enticing for the owner to rent that establishment and for the tenant to occupy that building, store, or plant. Multiple colors on sci-fi models is usually invented by the modeler to make the models stand out. When you apply the masking paper to your model is a matter of preference and what type of model you are building or painting. For the models that Tru-Color Paint builds and paint, we use different masking procedures for military versus railroads versus automobiles, etc. In the military model category, I usually mask ship model parts prior to assembly. And for aircraft, I normally mask after the fuselage, wings, stabilizer, and tail are assembled. U.S. armor is normally not masked, but rather the camouflage colors are added by spraying a particular color using a fine tip on the airbrush. Freight and passenger cars are typically handled differently from locomotives, depending on whether certain details are to be added to the model or to enhance its appearance or to make it match a particular prototype or picture. You do the masking before or after certain details are added to blend them into the paint scheme. Experience is the key here. Since the vast majority of automobile models have their bodies molded in one piece, I apply any masking paper required after the base color is painted on that body and allowed to dry. For buildings, I usually paint the base color first if they are molded as one piece, or I have assembled them as a single unit, such as a tilt-up building. I let it dry, and then masking paper is applied for each subsequent color. A very simple demonstration of the use of our masking paper is the 1-inch pieces of masking paper used in the study of our metal paints. This will be followed by showing the use of masking paper on actual models that may have small raised areas or slight curves on them. To begin our demonstration of a simple mask application, I am painting 40,000 styrene sheets with TCP 256 light primer in preparation of our study of our metal paints. After drying, this is followed by peeling the backing off 6.5-inch square sheets of TCP 900 masking paper and placing them on each of the 6-inch square sheets of primed styrene. I then start the study by cutting a 1-inch strip and removing that stripe from the sheet, painting the first color, and drying. I repeat this entire process for all 6 colors. Note that each time I remove a 1-inch stripe, I do not take off any of the primer. After painting metal color number 6 and letting the panel dry, I remove all of the masking paper. Again, please observe that none of the 6 colors or the primer underneath was removed. Now I continue with a few models or parts to paint in multiple color schemes. The 3 models we have chosen to use for the demonstration are a 50-foot HO scale double plug door boxcar, which we will do in a 3-color paint scheme to show how easy our masking paper is to use. The deck and the hull of a PT boat that is painted in a camouflage scheme, and lastly, the sides, front, and back of a Galileo shuttle model, which we chose to paint with a special color on aluminum painted parts. I will start with the Atlantis model 102nd scale PT boat. This deck has a 2-color camo for a boat assigned in 1944 to the Pacific Theater. First color painted on the entire deck and a few other parts is TCP 1041 20G deck green. After drying, I am now cutting the TCP 900 masking paper to match the drawing we have of the deck surface. This will cover the 20G deck green so that we can spray TCP 1001 dull black number 82. The pattern on the deck is fairly complex, and the masking will be cut with a sharp hobby knife or a pair of scissors. I test fit each piece before removing the backing and trim if necessary. You can use scrap pieces to fill in any gaps. I use a plastic burnisher to press the masking paper firmly onto the deck. Note the complex edges I am putting the masking paper on. Do all the masking paper required to create the pattern shown on the diagram. Regarding their torpedoes, it apparently was up to the boat's skipper whether these were painted into a camo scheme to match the deck pattern. I don't imagine this was done very often. With the masking secured, I am now spraying the TCP 1001 dull black number 82. Turn and tilt the deck as needed to ensure complete coverage of the unmasked areas. Set aside to dry thoroughly. The deck has been left undisturbed overnight, and now I am removing all of the masking paper. Using a sharp pointed tweezer, I pull off all the masking using a gloved hand to hold the deck. Note that even on the areas that are raised or have sharp corners, none of the 20G dark green is removed. Remember, there was no primer used on this model prior to painting any of the colors. This demonstrates two important items. Our masking paper worked great, and that our paint does not require you to apply any primers in most cases. A very simple masking demonstration for a railroad model is possible by painting a 50-foot double plug door boxcar in the Tru-Line 3-color paint scheme of Tru-Line off-white, Tru-Line red, and black. After stripping a 50-foot boxcar kindly supplied by Bowser Manufacturing, washing with clean water, and drying, I am painting TCP 157 Tru-Line off-white on the entire body first. Allowing the Tru-Line off-white to dry overnight, I am masking the sides of the body so that I may paint Tru-Line red TCP 055 on both plug doors on each side of the model. Note that I had carefully cut our TCP 900 masking paper on a paper cutter to get straight edges. I made sure the masking paper overlaps the top and the bottom of the model. Position the masking paper right at the edges of the plug doors. You can lift and reset the paper as needed to get a perfect match to the edges. No fear of removing the off-white paint. The top and bottom of the double plug doors need to be masked, as the tracks the doors hang from and slide on need to remain white. I cut strips about 3/8 of an inch wide for this operation. The length was cut by holding this prepared strip and cutting with a scissor. Use a burnisher to press these strips onto the model. TCP 055 Tru-Line red can now be painted on the model. The Tru-Line had several paint schemes on their boxcars, and we are demonstrating one of their more common schemes. At the present time, I am not concerned about getting any overspray on the ends or the roof, as these will be painted black. To finish the demo on the simple masking of the Tru-Line 50-foot double plug door boxcar, I need to place some TCP 900 masking paper on the plug doors on each side of the boxcar. I cut blocks of masking paper 2 inches by the necessary width to fully cover the doors. Using a burnisher, I pressed the masking paper onto the doors to make sure the ridges of the door opening mechanisms were completely covered. Now the TCP 010 black can be spray painted on the ends and roof of the boxcar. I am moving the boxcar around to ensure the channels on the ends and the steel panels on the roof have the black painted adequately. Make sure the crevices of the channels, called ribs by railroaders, have paint. Set aside to dry. Since Tru-Color paints usually dry to the touch in 30 to 45 minutes, we allowed the TCP 010 black to dry for about an hour and a half before I removed the masking paper. The boxcar has 3 colors applied. The only preparation prior to painting was washing the car. Peeling the masking off as close to 180 degrees as possible all of the masking is removed from one side and then the other. Note, no white or red paint is removed from the car, even over the design on the doors. We are done with this model, as I do not have any decals nor an underframe to assemble a complete boxcar. This completes our introduction demonstration of our masking paper. If you have any questions about techniques explored in this how-to video, or general questions pertaining to the use of any Tru-Color Paint products, please post your questions below.